Is there anywhere in Scripture that specifically mentions a 13th month or an Adar Bet and Yehovah's instructions on how to deal with something like that?
Well, there's really nothing to deal with. The Scripture really doesn't give us a specific number of months, except in a few cases. And we read about one particular instruction, about how to deal with it, because it does come up. It comes up in the reign of King Solomon. We see that Solomon had, for his entire staff, he has just an incredible amount of food and provision that is necessary for every month. And so we read in 1 Kings chapter 4 and verse 1 that Solomon, he was the king over all of Egypt. And in verse 7, it says that he had 12 officers over all the land, which provided victuals or provisions, food provisions, for the king and his household. Each man his month in a year he made provision. And so this is the first place that Ben-Hur shows up, actually. It says that these are the names. We have the son of Hur, which is Ben-Hur, which Susabita took that name. And he was in charge of the area of Mount Ephraim, and the people there in that area, they provided in 1 month, they provided all the victuals for the kings. And then we have the son of Dekar, the son of Hesed, the son of Biduab, and we go all the way down to verse 19, where we have Geber, who is the son of Uri in the country of Gilead. Now, he is the 12th one. And then we have a statement here, which in the King James is not correct, number one. And it says that, I'll read the whole verse here. Geber, the son of Uri, was in the country of Gilead, in the country of Sihon, king of the Amorites, and of Og, king of Bashan. And it says, and he was the only officer which was in the land. Well, that's simply not true. It contradicts the previous 12 verses, because all of these people were officers and are called that very thing in the Hebrew language. And so when it says, and he was the only officer which was in the land, first of all, the word he was and the word was later in the verse is all in italics. There are those verses, those words are not there. And it should be translated, and one officer which was over the entire land. Now, why would you need one officer which is over the entire land? It's because in the 13th month, on the occasional 13th month, that is when the entire land had to provide for the king's provision for that month, and so that nobody was disposed to do more. And so that month, each one of these 12 areas provided 1/12 of the king's provision for that particular month. And so we do have an issue of, what we have to do, and this is what Solomon figured out. I mean, he was the one who did it. He says, I've got a big staff here. I've got to eat, and there are only these 12 areas, these 12 tribes, these 12 areas, and so I need another person who I can put as an overseer, who will be able to collect the duty or the victuals, a 12th from each one of these areas, so that the 13th month that occasionally happens to allow the barley to mature and become aviv in the land of Israel, so that that provision is made. Now, we also have another situation that cannot be figured out unless we have the astronomically and agriculturally corrected biblical Hebrew calendar. This is, of course, the easy way to do it right here. And in the Creator's calendar, I use this for figuring out things all the time. This is something that I turn to all the time, because I'm always trying to get things in order, in context, to find out what things happen. And we read that in the book of Ezekiel, and we get this in the 5th and the 6th chapter of Ezekiel, that it was in, I believe, it was the fifth year of Jehoiakim's captivity. It was the 5th day of the 4th month. And so we go to the 4th month, which on the modern Jewish calendar is called the month of Tammuz. That is the 4th month. And we go to the 5th day of the 4th month. And that's when Ezekiel was commanded to lay on his left side for 390 days, and then on his right side for another 40 days, for a total of 430 days. Now, we read that at the end of this period of time, that he is sitting in his house after completing his assignment, and he's talking with some of the elders of Israel. And it says it's in the 6th month of the 6th year. Okay, so we go from the 4th day of the 5th day of the 4th month of the 5th year to in the 6th month of the 6th year. And so you go all the way through and all the way back, and you see that you cannot complete a 430-day assignment and be doing anything in the 6th month of the year unless you have an Adar Bet, a 13th month that year, because it would take you into the 7th month by at least 7 days. And so it's absolutely impossible without a 13th month. So we see the 13th month come up in the scriptures, but it's nothing that you really have to deal with, so to speak. As a matter of fact, the modern Jewish calendar, they make Adar, they make the regular month of Adar, Adar 2, and they make the Adar Bet, they make that the Adar 1. And that's how they get around the commandment that was made by Mordecai and Esther to celebrate Purim in the 12th month. So they leave, they make, they just do a linguistic switch around because they needed to do this when the calendar was changed by the rabbis in 359 of the Common Era. So your calendar, your biblical calendar, is going to come in handy all the time in attempting to figure these particular things out. But in practical application, there's very little that we have to do nowadays. When the 13th month rolls around, except for we've just got to watch the Aviv in the land of Israel and understand that during the temple period, this is how the calendar was kept. So as we know, nobody keeps the Passover today. We celebrate it, and we attempt to do it to the best of our ability according to the biblical reckoning.
So it's one of those things where you just have to know where to look, like several other situations in the Bible where we have questions.
That's right.